That's my card.
All right.
You're talking about I hope board members should.
Okay, yeah, and I'm on a whole bunch of these committees, so we'll cross paths on a bunch of projects, I'm sure. I'm excited about bikes and stuff. Yeah. Look at that beautiful case. Oh, you made it.
Yeah. I still there's a spot that I'm closer.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
So
You know the trash can might be? Yeah, check the kitchen.
Yeah.
or honestly, the other thing we could do is make you a co-host, and then you could.
I didn't know if you wanted anything from me. I didn't really.
I have everything together, but
Oh. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Do you want to do that?
I may maybe I'll just give a summary on the TMAC progress. Well, if there's someone here to talk about that.
Rachel Whipple is doing Center Street. But is yours like more broad than just Center Street?
No, it's. But I wonder if it's the same thing. She wasn't at our meeting. I don't think she's even seen the list for Center Street. Changes.
She was our project manager for Center Street advocacy for TMAC.
Okay.
But looks like she's not going to show up. So you should just take it.
Okay, yeah. So we have the finished prioritized list now, and we're preparing to present it to City Council. Yeah. Cool. And then my board has approved, and we've already paid for renderings of what some of the things would look like.
About are people like really into the art?
Yeah. Well, it makes sense for a whole series of reasons. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the number one item TMAC listed. It's their highest priority. Yes.
So yeah, if you want to log in, then I'll make you co-host, and then yeah, and they should still be able to hear the presenters.
Yeah. Yeah, they're taking over TMAC.
That's good. They have actual. They can actually implement those.
Yeah, my criticism and concern when we had our chat is I just told the mayor, I said, well, historically that's been kind
How do I? Oh, here we are. Make co-host. Okay. Is it? I may need to log off. Well, is this going to be a problem that we're right next to each other?
Yeah, can you mute yours?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, we're good. Okay, and it's recording. How's the okay, well, we should, it's already 5.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, come. We're gonna start the presentation. So if you wanna come on over. Make sure you get some tacos and drinks. Can you click and I'll stand up here?
What's that?
Can you, I don't know, I'm thinking about like logistics wise where people should stand.
If somebody stands up here, will the people on Zoom see them?
Yeah. So do you want to just
Okay.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it makes me. Those are the things that make it all worth it. Those kind of stories.
And we can edit the front off later.
Hey everybody, we want to thank you for coming out tonight. I am Austin Taylor. I'm the executive director of BikeWalk Provo. If most of you are familiar with BikeWalk Provo, but if you haven't been a part of us before, if you haven't met people from BikeWalk Provo, it's a nonprofit advocacy group that pushes for safe streets in Provo. That's what we do. And so today what we want to do is showcase all the fantastic work that our volunteers have done and our partners have done throughout this year. And it's a celebration. That's why we have food. We want to gather together because we want to celebrate the great work that everyone's done this year. So we're anticipating, there's a bunch of different slides we have, and each project manager from each type of project is going to stand up and briefly talk about the project that they worked on. We're looking for 1 minute per slide. So really quick, if you could just blaze through what you worked on and show it off to everybody else, that would be fantastic. We're hoping to get through this presentation and so you guys can have some time to talk to each other soon. And if you haven't gotten tacos and drinks, feel free to go get some. Okay, quick, next slide. So some of the biggest things that we changed this year is the actual organization of BikeWalk Provo. For the longest time, it was maybe 2 or 3 people doing most of the work. And we wanted to flesh out an organization that is well organized, that is efficient at getting things done. And so that's what we did here. Okay. So the first thing is we organized the board, and the board of directors has some familiar faces you all might know. It's got Dave Harding, who's a city council member, Jamie Littlefield, lived in downtown Provo for a long time, bikes and walks all the time. We've got Dakota Forsyth, lives in Provo, works in the county health department. Marsha Judkins lives in West Provo. She's on the state legislature. And then we've got Lucy Sanchez, and she works at Dixon Middle School. These are fantastic board members. They oversee the organization. And I don't see any here tonight, but we have at least one watching. And then we fleshed out our leadership team as well. So on the top left, executive director Christine couldn't make it tonight. She's traveling on the East Coast for business. She's our communications director. Aaron here is our operations director. We got Ricky, volunteer coordinator, and Clark is on Zoom, but he'll be coming a little bit later. He's our director of research and data. And this is just the organization part of all the volunteers that we have and the roles that they play. Okay. The great things that we do to promote biking and walking. We had a lot of great events this year. Is Mary on Zoom?
Mary's not on Zoom.
Okay. So I'll briefly just try this one. So Mary Wade organized a screening of the film Motherload for us, and we hosted it at the Bike Collective. Thanks to Kira.
I wasn't here at that time.
Okay, thanks.
I wish
Jordan.
I was.
Thanks,
I would
Jordan.
take credit.
But the film is all about cargo bikes and how moms can transport their children using cargo bikes. And after the movie, a week after, we hosted a cargo bike roundup where we gathered as many of our friends as possible that have cargo bikes and invited the whole community to come out and try different cargo bikes so they could see how they would work for their family. It was a great event. Is Hugh on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Mary and Hugh worked on Bike to School Week, and this is a tradition. We do this every September, and all of the schools in the Provo School District participate. Basically, for the first week, if a child rides their bike to school, they're given a prize, they're entered into a raffle, and our part in this is BikeWalk Provo is we get the prizes to the schools, to the kids, and coordinate the efforts across the district. And it is successfully used. Another thing that we did is we saw the need for more debate about the issues in local politics. Sometimes politics can be a popularity contest. We want it to be a debate, and we want it to be substantive. And so we took initiative and hosted a city council debate where all the primary candidates participated, and we have over 500 views of that video. So we informed a lot of voters. Oh, we also had 2 BikeWalk Provo volunteers run for office. We had Erin run for office, and we had Rachel Whipple run for office, and she ran. So.
And Rachel won and I didn't.
Christine is not on Zoom, right?
No,
Okay, I'll take
yeah, she's on a plane probably.
Okay, so the Freedom Parade is probably the biggest event of the year in Provo, and it's our tradition to participate in this. This year, we had more participants than we ever had before, and it was just fun, and we wanted to showcase how fun it can be to walk and bike. So I'd say we had about 100 people in our little parade float of people on bikes. It was a great time. Aaron.
My bike month? Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
It says that.
So we've been doing bike month, started with Bike Work Day, and then it became Bike Week. And several years ago, it became Bike Month. You can see that we had lots of different events during the month. This year's Bike to Work Day was the biggest ever. We had the most number of businesses and the most number of participants participating. I think nearly 20 businesses providing breakfast as people bike to work, and probably 500 or so participants. And then there was a whole bunch of other activities over the course of the month. And if you have any questions, I can answer them, but I think that's a good summary.
Yeah, and we want to thank also Kira from Bike Collective for hosting a ton of events. And I think in downtown Provo, a couple.
And we worked very closely with the mayor's office on particularly Bike to Work Day, but also publicizing the other events over the course of the month.
James is not here tonight. I can take this one. So we also like to take so we like to take people on biking and walking tours, especially city staff members and politicians. And this year we made it a goal to take all of TMAC members, planning commission members, city council members, mayor, and then our state and federal elected officials on a tour. So we tried to do it. We made an invite and we invited all of them. And we did get at least one person from all those groups, which is a success. So pictured here is John Curtis, our House representative. We took him on a tour of Provo, which he knows very well, of course, being the mayor of Provo. But it's kind of a victory lap for him as he got to see a lot of the infrastructure initiatives that he pushed for. We invited him at this to join the Congressional Bike Caucus, which he did immediately afterward, which was great. We also took, like I said, members of TMAC, Planning Commission, City Council candidates, the mayor, engineering staff, planning staff,
And state legislators.
And we also did a general public one during Bike Month. And the purpose of these tours is to show people good routes that we have for walking and biking and places that need improvement. So those are very fun. James Hall leads those.
And if any of you have never been on one of those tours, I would be glad to lead you on the tour. Starting with Gordon, our new city engineer.
I need to take some weight off, so it's good.
We also did more with volunteer appreciation this year. As Austin covered, we had a lot more volunteers come into the organization than ever before. More diverse and bigger organization than we've ever had. And Stan Morris, he was elected, we voted and he was the volunteer of the year. So round of applause for Stan. Again. Thank you to all the volunteers.
Okay, this is Christine's section. Christine isn't here. Okay, I'll talk to Rebecca. So Rebecca is one of our star volunteers. She lives in Belgium now. Yeah, she lives in Belgium, but she misses Provo, and so she volunteers for us. And she runs our newsletters. So if you get our emails, Rebecca's writing those. We have 661 subscribers, 28% average open rate, which is really good for a local nonprofit. And our most popular email was the UVX stop at 900 East. Almost half the people who received it opened it. And you'll see later on, a ton of people clicked through and voiced their support for it.
Stan. You want to come up here? Okay.
Yep.
BikeWalk Provo Stories takes contributions from the public and especially our members on stories about your experience in Provo in biking, walking, scooters, skateboards. We're covering just about any form of active transportation. And one by one, we actually are assembling stories on each one of those. We had 18 BikeWalk Provo stories this year. They were posted on Instagram and Facebook. 9 of those were submitted by other contributors. I wrote the other half of those. Most popular stories determined by me, by likes and comments on Instagram and Facebook, was the Christine Franson story. That was a story I wrote when Christine very first took over the director of communications. And I happened to see her riding through my neighborhood, but I didn't know who she was at that time. I just chased her down and asked her if I could write a story. It turned out to be our director of communications. The second most popular story was Aaron Barnes, and Rick West was third. These were all posts on Facebook. On Instagram, it was a little different. We had Christine Franson again, and the plant genetics lab story that I wrote on a professor at the Wildlife Science Building who wanted to help his students out by getting an electric bike so they didn't have to use their car to transport plants back and forth between the lab and the greenhouse. This third most popular was Daisy Barnes, a barista on Center Street who was riding her bike. I thought she was delivering products, but it turned out she was just riding to work each day. And on a breezer, if anyone knows anything about breezers, they were one of the first bikes put together for trail biking. So I think I'll let it go at that.
All right, Stan.
Okay, Todd is not here. Todd runs our website. We had a major website overhaul this year. It looks completely different than it was before. We changed URLs, and it's just a better functioning website. And we want to thank Todd for that. I didn't count how many visits we had on it, but it's better than ever. So thanks to Todd if he's on Zoom.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna admit some people.
Okay.
Oh, Mary and Marcia just joined us. Oh, another board member. And Logan from Springville.
Okay. So BikeWalk Provo Chats is a series that we did. It's a series of interviews with important people in the biking and walking culture here in Provo. We did 3 different videos, we did 3 different videos. George Hanley was one of our guests on them. We had Rob Hunter, Jared Lillywhite on another one. We had the mayor on one. And we had a lot of good editing help from Alistair Scowden, which is Aaron's son. He edited all the videos. They're all on YouTube. So I'd suggest, and Kira was a guest. I forgot to call you out. So I would suggest watching those videos on our YouTube channel. They're great. Okay, and advocacy initiatives. Lori, is she on?
Nori is not with us. No.
Okay, and you should talk about this one because this was new.
Sure.
My day job is at BYU, and for years I've served on the campus bicycle committee. We've been working really hard to make campus more bicycle friendly, and routes from the community campus more friendly by working with both the administration and the city. And one thing that we've been working on for several years is making the main entrance to campus more bicycle friendly and safer. Once the transformation of Bulldog to Cougar Boulevard was completed, there was a very noticeable gap as you crossed Canyon Road into campus. The bike lane completely disappeared. So working with the administration, and also thanks to the city kind of reaching out to BYU, when the city did the repave of Canyon Road, BYU stepped up and modified that entrance, made the sidewalk wider and more attractive, and also, as you can see, added that bike lane right across the street. And then there's also a bike lane coming down. Once you come off the hill, there's a bike lane that starts there once you get on the flat area. So this was a really great accomplishment. And we look forward to the city and the BYU working together in a collaborative way to encourage more sustainable and healthy commuting practices to campus.
Just wrote it today, Aaron. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Awesome. And then
Rachel?
Rachel is going to talk about Center Street advocacy that we worked on. We also worked on this with Quinn Peterson here from downtown Provo.
Yeah, it's great on this.
And Rachel is an incoming member of the council. So.
Yes, yeah, so this is something that I complained about like 10 years ago, right? But in August in 2020, last year, I was talking with the mayor in different groups about the 900 East stop. So we were getting started on that. And then coming into January, I continued doing these emails and meetings with the mayor. So about our new city engineer, which we were very interested in. And in these conversations, we would talk about Center Street as well as 200 East and the changes on that. And part of the reason we talk about 200 East is because that's one where we've actually done something. And I ride that stupid thing almost every day. So then we continued to email back and forth with the mayor. So March and April, I went back through my emails, and it's interesting in working with her because you give her the ideas and she's like, oh, that's a good point. Thank you for your input. And you're like, yes, but what are you going to do now? This went into TMAC and it was considered by TMAC over the course of many months, I think is fair to say. Presented to the Downtown Business Alliance as well. The business interests are crucial for getting a viable change to Center Street because that's part of the reason we all want to be there. I don't know how many of you have seen this document.
That's the TMAC, the suggestions,
The
right?
TMAC suggestions. Yes, which is super interesting, right? Because many of these things contradict each other, but there's so much low-hanging fruit that we could just do. And of this, we have seen new parking signs go up, but I'm starting to see neighborhood chairs or, city agitators like Dave Connect or Mike Rohner, things like that, saying, we want to have the archway going into Center Street and things like this, things that will visually set it apart. So we've got our marching orders, we've got a script, and we are going to push for the best possible things on this. And I'm really excited to be in a different position to help push on some of these things now. But I'm really grateful that I've been part of these conversations for so long and that somehow I've managed to not alienate everyone as I've continued to talk about this.
It's a thin line,
I'm sure people are mad at me. It's got to be the case, and it's only going to get worse. But let's pick the fruit. All right.
Yes. Thanks, Rachel. Right. And you referenced TMAC, that's the city's Transportation Mobility Advisory Committee. Just so you know, every time there's an opening, we have at least 2 BikeWalk Provo volunteers who apply for those openings. So there are many people ready and willing to serve on that board.
Did we get Provo BikeWalk people on the recent?
No, not that we know of. There are 2 slots that are open right now that the mayor will be recommending people to the council for. And I don't know any of our volunteers who have had interviews. So that's where we're at. Okay, Jamin, UVX stop. The memes were very helpful.
I didn't know Bernie went that far.
So as many of you know, when the UVX was kind of on the table originally about 8 years ago or so, there was originally proposed to be a 900 East stop near the creamery. And in a kind of compromise, the mayor and some of the residents from my neighborhood in the Tree Streets, Oak Hills neighborhood, kind of made a compromise and removed that stop and put the one stop at the MTC, one stop by the new engineering building, just south of campus, southeast corner of campus. Anyways, when the new music building was being built and there was some parking issues, and the city or BYU, in order to address some of those parking issues, had to propose a parking solution. I know that BikeWalk Provo was really instrumental in advocating for bringing back this idea of a 900 stop as a way to address some of those parking problems. So I and Emily Craig organized a kind of really quick neighborhood campaign letter. We wrote a letter, got it signed by over 200 people from our neighborhood. Rachel and I, she mentioned, met with the mayor and showed her the letter and had conversations. Anyways, didn't hear much for a long time. There was, I think, lots of people kept passing saying, well, it's you know, the UTA's problem, or it's Provo's problem. Anyways, thankfully
it was the UTA's problem.
Thankfully, the UTA people and the city people just recently held some open houses about the 900 UVX stop, and I think the feeling was overwhelmingly in favor of having the UVX station on 900 East. Did this just come before the city council on Tuesday, George?
Yeah, we just gave it the thumbs up for the administration to start working with UTA to come up with the plans both for the design and for the funding.
Okay. I knew that was happening on Tuesday, but I heard the results, so this is great. So hopefully that'll happen soon, or somewhat soon.
Well, yeah, and I did want to clarify, we had August of 2020, UTA had said they were going to come back with us with some proposals about it, and it took a year and 3 months or whatever. So we were just stalled and waiting, and I kept asking the administration from UTA. Anyway, so I don't know what explains why that took so long.
Yeah.
It was quite frustrating for me, but we really appreciated that the letter writing campaign made a huge difference. I mean, it really did. It was, and from my perspective, it wasn't, you know, the letters were coming from, obviously, from people like yourselves who are very interested in public transportation, but it was coming from a lot of people in the neighborhood that were not, you know, actively involved already in this sort of. This is used if it were available. I think that was very persuasive to a lot of people.
Well, we're glad to see things happening, and hopefully things will move forward. One of the interesting things, for those who didn't go to the open house, UTA kind of has like a heat map-y kind of thing, and the 900 East stop, people who were there maybe correct me on the details, but was projected to be, you know, by far the most popular stop on the whole, on the entire route.
And that it would increase ridership overall by 16%.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So
it wouldn't be just a matter of the same riders taking a different stop.
new riders. Yeah. So this is great movement to be seeing happen. Thanks.
Thanks, Damon.
A special one. So Dave Graves, our old city engineer, retired a while ago, and for the longest time that position was vacant. So we were wondering who was going to be. And so you know, we were pushing for a lot. Like, we were pushing for a lot of things. We were emailing the mayor and the council. We're saying, here's what we want. We want someone who cares about walking and biking, slowing cars, making the streets safe. So we're happy.
They told me you just want somebody that looked good.
So
If I could add, I'm Quinn, downtown Provo, and I'll do an intro in a minute, but I have a meeting with the mayor every 2 weeks where we spend an hour just talking about city projects. And 2 days ago, we had our meeting, and she said, when we discussed this topic, that she's never had so much input and concern from the community on a hired position than this one, which is funny because you think it'd be something like police chief. But it was this position from me and my organization, you guys and your organization, and so many more. It's really fascinating.
yeah, it's an important position. So.
Pressure now.
Just you know, like everyone around you can be your ally.
We got your back.
So congratulations to Gordon. Okay, programs, tactical urbanism.
Yeah.
Learn about what we're doing.
Gotta take it.
Change his shirt.
So you are in a great bicycling city when you can see just as many women riding as you can men. And to communicate our desire at BikeWalk Provo to create such a city on International Women's Day in March, a small group of volunteers from our tactical urbanism squad modified some of the bike markers with helmets and a ponytail. Ponytail is the most important. And we did this all across the city, just not on Cougar Boulevard. We apologize for any trouble that we caused, but we are pleased that many women have noticed these markers, noticed these changes, and felt more welcome on our public streets. And our public streets should be safe and welcoming for everyone, whatever their gender is, whatever their age, whatever their ability is. That is what we want our city to become. Thank you.
Yeah, these people put their safety on the line. We did have a run-in with the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Britton. Yes.
So this was a fun project. It was really cool to do. I'm Britton Corbett. I've only been like a member of BikeWalk Provo for like since late summer. So I feel like I need to introduce myself to make sure people know who I am. I get to know people. So anyways, parklets in general have been a really strong tool of tactical urbanism ever since they first started being practiced in San Francisco and have really exploded in popularity. Now you see go down to like New York and you can almost not see any road not have a parklet of it, some sense on there. They've found to be a really good tool for promoting sense of safety in public spaces, enforce more walkability in areas like Center Street, which we put this one over, and it's shown to have more economic value for nearby areas than just one parking space has for the spaces. But for this particular project, we're lucky to get a $1,000 grant from Spin Scooters to use here. And during the project, it was really surprising. Me and Austin were both surprised by how much we could get and use for about $1,000. But at the same time, looking at this project and continue to work on it, it makes me realize just how much more we could do for future parklet ideas. So hopefully this won't be the last time that we are involved as an advocacy group to make some more parklets, because I really love to see more people become aware that roads aren't just for cars, but they can also be used for people and by association bikers. So thank you.
Mary is on Zoom.
Okay, we'll have to be quiet to hear her. It's just gonna come from computer speakers.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's been crazy. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. All right, and I think my headphones just died. All right, safe routes to school. And I was also going to talk about the women's summit, right?
We already covered that, so.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah. Mary, I don't see any slides for safe routes to school, so you'll have to be very descriptive. Yeah.
All right. Well, we ended up having, I think, between 7 and 10 schools participate. And what I found especially exciting about this year, this last year was our 10th year of doing safe routes. What I found especially exciting this year was that we had, and I'm talking about Bike to School Week, sorry, specifically participation.
Yeah, we already talked about Bike to School Week as well. So if you could just talk about safe routes to school, all the great work that the district and the Public Works did, that would be good.
Can do, thank you. Yeah, so the district has been on an absolute roll ever since a combination of hirings and position assignments came into play with Rob Hunter and Jerry Lillywhite with engineering, as well as, oh dear, I'm blanking on his name right now, at the district.
Yeah.
My boss's boss, you know,
Alex
it's
Jeff.
fun.
Alex Judd?
Alex Judd, there it is. Thank you. Really spearheading things and meeting last year, even though it was a COVID year, with each school community council, brought in all the stakeholders for all of the E's that you want to see for safe routes. The engineering was represented, and enforcement was represented with our safety officers there. Planning was there. We had mayor's office represented at my school's school community council, and they really wanted to make sure that all the schools were, school community councils were aware of the responsibility and aware of the changes that they were going to have their plans heard. And that resulted in so many changes last spring as schools submitted their plans. We had how many crosswalks painted? Do you remember, Aaron, this last summer as a result of all these plans? I didn't even know.
Rob could tell us.
17?
A lot.
So many. It was incredible. After we, there have been requests for individual crosswalks for many years. So it was just absolutely tremendous. Our jaws were on the ground. We were so grateful for everyone's united efforts to continue to take safe routes more seriously and implement those changes. So thank you to everybody involved.
Okay, we've got Jacob up. Jacob oversees our bike rack installation program.
I'm Jacob. I'm a student at BikeWalk Provo. As you see here, we've got a few bike installations throughout this year. This bottom right, we did the River Drive apartments right by Mason. The upper right one is at Cotton Tree Square, so it's right next to the factory in that area. And this one to the left is on State and Center right at the Gate Market. So it's been great putting in these installations, having more bike parks available. It's been great having lots of leads coming from different volunteers. So if you have any businesses in mind, it's better parking or more parking, feel free to let us know and we can follow up with them as well. These are our success stories for the year. You can tell other businesses, hey, we have a crew, they come in for you for free.
And we'll provide consultation to, yeah,
Free installation.
consultation and free installation.
Each of those racks is like $100.
Yeah, it's super affordable, way cheaper than car parking.
And the business or the property owner that owns the kind of strip mall where Neaters is, they've ordered 2 really cool bike-shaped bike racks. And as soon as those arrive, we'll be installing those right there on Cougar Boulevard. A hand?
Is there a way to get the school district to put in? I talked to the principal at our school, but he's like, I can't do anything about it. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. That would be great. I think at the schools, they've got them for their kids, but the kids are often behind like fences. They need them for visitors into all the schools. I don't know if that's something. I'd be happy to try to help with that. But that's someone we got to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll connect you with Mary and Hugh and go from there. Yeah, great idea.
Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah. Parents ride bikes too, not just kids, right? Yeah. Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Clark. I'm going to talk for just a couple minutes about some of the data initiatives we've been doing this year. So in September, we got a crew together and went out and did some counts of bikers and walkers on some of the more major bike and walking thoroughfares in the city. Austin kicked this off in 2019. We didn't do it in 2020 because of COVID, but we're back on now, and we're hoping to build kind of a year-over-year data set where we can study biking trends as well as show that there's a lot of bikers and walkers out there. It's harder. Rob and Jared have been putting in some cool technology to start counting bikes on Cougar Boulevard and other places, but until that's fully up and running, it's harder to count bikes and people than it is cars. And so we get to go out and do it ourselves. We had a lot of fun with it, got up the group text and some donuts and the report on that will be coming out shortly on the BikeWalk Provo website as well as in the CMAC December meeting. The other project we've been working on is taking a look. You're all aware of the improvements to Cougar Boulevard, the center median, as well as the community green protected bike lane. So we've been looking at crash data to try to show the improvements in safety for cars as well as bikers and walkers, especially bikers and walkers on that Cougar Boulevard road as a kind of before and after the infrastructure improvements. The trick is that before and after infrastructure improvements is also before and after COVID-19, so we have a great big other effect there. So at the moment, we're kind of studying and trying to get some more sophisticated data methods in there so that we can tease out the COVID effect versus the safety of the
Maybe this is something the engineers could answer, but I would love to get data also on Cougar Boulevard and accidents. I'm still hearing from citizens complaining about it, saying it was a waste of money, that it did no good, it's totally inconvenient. And I keep saying, well, this is the most dangerous street in the whole state, and it would be lovely to have both biking data and accident data to just hand to people on a card and say, read this.
The idea is Clark's going to put together something we feel confident about, and then work with the city on a press release. Just say, okay, this is what happened.
That'd be great. Yeah, we're on it. We'll get some. Yeah, the long and short is I mean, what Clark did, we actually had a consultant look at it too, and we're confident in saying, I think that from our side, we're confident in saying from a bike and fence standpoint, it's definitely made it safer. Friends are vehiculars makes it safer. Those are harder to say based off of it being all the data post being there. So the trends look great, but we city side we're not ready to tap ourselves back until yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I don't think Carly or Chelsea are on Zoom, right?
Yeah, Chelsea's out overseas and Carly's in New York now. So
Yeah, just really quickly, Carly and Chelsea were our service coordinators, and they both organized service projects. Mostly we did trash cleanups and we did go ahead pulls. So you can see Aaron with the giant go ahead.
That's like the equivalent of a fish.
Okay, and this was very early in the year, in January. We applied for the Bicycle Friendly Community Award. We were trying to get to gold. We didn't get that, but we got reinstated silver. Meaning we didn't backslide, which would have been horrible. But we framed it, we gave it to the mayor, we thanked her, did a big press release, and we're hoping for gold next time.
Yep. Next year.
Next year.
Yep.
Okay, and we want to give some time to our partners. We've got people from Chris here. We're going to talk about Bike Utah really quick. Our BikeWalk Provo didn't do all this alone. This is a big team effort.
So I guess I can talk a little bit about regionally. You guys are interested, like what's happening, because it kind of all connects, right? Okay, so but taking a step back, Provo and Bike Utah, we applied for a grant last year through SPIN, and it was for a bunch of data tools. It was like about $150,000 worth of data tools that we got. And one of the big ones was Streetlight, and we were able to basically use people's cell phone pings to determine the mode of transportation people are using. So then you can get counts basically anywhere, or at least like relevant indices that you can compare. So for example, you could compare how many people are riding on a certain street compared to elsewhere. What we found primarily was that people were riding in the urban core, and they were riding at really slow speeds, and they were riding what appeared to be for practical purposes. So if you actually compared origin and destination data, like where people are coming from and going to, compared to like automobiles and bicycles and peds, it was the same thing. So people are using it for utility or practical purposes. So that was really insightful. So at least from an equity perspective, focusing on the downtown area, because also the other like variable associated with that was a lot of these people are very low income people. So students and people who you would otherwise traditionally think of as low income. So from like an equity perspective, it's important to still think about our downtown as a place to put in investments and put in further safety improvements. And Streetlight has actually been using our project and our research as like a best practice nationally for how to do like active transportation analyses using their platform. So it's kind of been a big deal. And so they've had me like be speaking across the country at different conferences about some of this research. So it's been pretty cool. And then regionally, recently I put in an application for Alpine and Highland to get bike plans. It said it couldn't be done, but it's happening. I got bike plan, or I put in some applications with Vineyard and Springville. They're both getting their own individual bike plans. And we've also been providing streetlight data to both Vineyard and Springville. And also Springville is working with Jeff Speck right now to design their downtown. So I've been working on that.
Springville or Vineyard?
Or sorry, Vineyard.
Okay.
Vineyard has, and that's been pretty cool because he says things like good cities don't have parking lots, and then I'm like in the back there. Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's some pretty cool stuff happening regionally that we can be excited about.
Hey everyone, Karen Johnson from Bicycle Collective. I think most of you are aware of the organization, but nonprofit we make biking more accessible, primarily by providing refurbished bikes and by providing education. So it's been a good year. I wanted to share some of the impacts that we had in 2021. We've given away 111 bikes so far. And in Christmas, we're hoping to increase that pretty dramatically with some big bike giveaways. And we have refurbished and sold 313 so far, and kept thousands of pounds of metal and rubber out of the landfill. My closest estimate is about 8 tons of metal out of the landfill, recycled metal that we've done, and
From just this year.
Just this year, and almost 2,000 pounds of rubber kept out of landfill. So that's like impact of bikes aside, and then we're providing bikes for a lot of folks that aren't able to afford that. Selling at affordable costs, our bikes average between like $270 and $350, which is a pretty stark comparison to the average like $750 bike from a normal retail shop. And then the 111 people that weren't able to afford a bike, and we gave them for free. And the bikes that we're able to give for free, that's all because of our volunteers. So this year, all during 2020, for most 2020 volunteer efforts were pretty well shut down. And most of 2021 up until I think about June is when we started welcoming volunteers back. And We've had 94 volunteers this year, and I think, let's see, I wrote this down. They volunteered 930 hours. So that's pretty good. That's just from April until now. And one of the things that's made me really happy and proud, I came into this role as the director in April, and volunteer efforts is one of my big priorities, because that's how the collective runs, and that's how I got involved. It's like I have like this soft spot for making sure that our volunteers are having a good experience. And so one of the things that we've seen is there's been less just one-timer volunteers coming in, which in prior years there's been like hundreds of volunteers, and a lot of them just come once, one evening, and they're done. And so I was trying to reverse that trend and have more returning volunteers. So we've really improved the onboarding process and improved the volunteer educational experience. So volunteers now are required a little bit, like more is required of them to start volunteering, but once they start volunteering, they feel like this. So if none of you have volunteered, you're welcome to apply, and we'll train you. You don't have to have any experience. That's why we're doing the educational aspect of it. And other things, so, I've talked about bike giveaways, I've talked about volunteer. We started up our DIY stand, the do-it-yourself station in the shop, which is unique. It's not what other bike shops have. That started up in July, and we've just had like one spot available, so it hasn't been as trafficked, but we have had about 200 hours worth of like people using that stand. So that's pretty great. We do have a service center now. That was something that we started during the pandemic. So if you need your bike service and you don't want to put in the effort, you can bring it to our shop. And you can know that those dollars are going right back to your community by helping provide more refurbished bikes. And we have a super well-trained professional mechanic that does those services. So it's not like you're being like shortcut by coming to the grungy shop. It's quality work that's coming out. Community events, that's another thing that I'm really passionate about, and one of the things I love most about the collective. One of the reasons why I wanted to come back is because I love the community of Provo. We put on 17 social rides. I think the biggest highlights of social rides was the Hidden Gems, which happened in Bike Month, and I think there's like 50 people that came to that ride. It was like the first ride that happened since rides hadn't happened during the pandemic, and people were stoked. The swimsuit bike ride in the middle of summer, it was like July, in the middle of the day on a Saturday, we had like 30 people in swimsuits ride up the canyon and jump into the river. And we're hoping to make that a tradition because it was very fun. We had people come down from Salt Lake to join. And the cargo bike roundup at Bike Month, that was another big highlight. Lots of people showed up to that. We've also been working on expanding our reach towards more than just Provo and really connecting with more of Utah County. And so creating more partnerships with people that refer clients to us to receive free bikes. We have 13 community partners right now. We did a kid mechanic workshop in Eagle Mountain in the summer. Also, something exciting that maybe some of you don't all know is we have a junior mechanic course that we run, and we are partnered with Independence High School, the alternative high school in Provo, that we teach that twice a week. We have one of our mechanics go in, they've fully outfitted one of their classrooms with 6 full mechanic stands. And it's part of their PE credit, which is so cool. I'm jealous of that. And come this spring, we're going to be teaching a class for BYU, bike mechanic and safe urban cycling. So that's exciting. Those details on that class? We're working through the details right now, but it's it's like a swell credit. You're like, you can take rock climbing, you can take ice skating, or you can take bike mechanics. Well, yeah, swell. Student wellness. Oh, student wellness. Yeah. The PE class. Yeah. So those are some of the things happening in the collective. It's been a good year, and looking forward to a great 2020. Lots more room for growth and improvement. Shop.
The Utah Valley Trails Alliance is the local advocacy group for mountain biking trails, and I know that they worked with the Forest Service and put together some sort of plan. Also with Provo City.
Yeah.
But things are happening here.
He's finishing up the formal proposal, but it involves some really exciting possibilities in Hope Canyon, where Hope Campground is, for mountain biking trails up there, and sort of cleaning up the trail designation of the Bonneville shoreline and other things. It's really exciting. They do great work.
I'm Quinn Peterson with Downtown Provo Inc. I'm the executive director there. I've done it for the past 6 years now. I did pick up this old chain stitch machine from the 30s. And so I'm going to show you guys the vest I just finished today because it's pretty exciting.
You outdid me, Quinn.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So just a little bit, I just wanted to give a little bit more context and next steps about the TMAC list that Rachel mentioned. Our program put together a document because as a summary of what we do, our focus is downtown. We're funded through business memberships and economic development funds from the city. So our job is just to make downtown better in the city's eyes and according to the businesses, because the money that we get from the city is a matching grant program. So we need to continue to keep the businesses happy because that's what funds us. So ultimately, I have a few part-time employees that help us with some of our programs. We run the art stroll. We do, weekly email blasts. We run our social media to educate the public on what downtown has to offer. But I personally spend all of my time on policy. And that's where we end up overlapping a lot with Austin and his work and some of these other programs for advocacy downtown. In 2018, we put together a document expressing the concerns about the safety of the pedestrian mall on Center Street, where the average speed is 35 miles an hour or has been, and the speed limit's 15. So what can be done to make those changes? So we submitted that concern from the business community that was signed and endorsed by my board and all the businesses along downtown with suggested changes. And we kind of continued to follow up, similar to what Rachel's mentioned. We then revisited that in 2020, early 2020, and sent a second document in conjunction with BikeWalk Provo with some additional suggestions. That at that point, the mayor's office, the city staffers, and a whole crew of people threw out ideas and suggestions. That's why, as Rachel mentioned, some of them conflict because anything was thrown out there. And what TMAC spent the past year doing was quantifying each of those items. So they went through and decided this one is too expensive, or this one would work really well, but it would make downtown look really ugly. And so they have all these categories that they quantified. And they did just finish prioritizing that list. And it's on the list, it's on the schedule to be presented now to City Council, which ranks all these items from best to worst, so that hopefully we can start implementing these. Now, the number one item on that list is an entry arch, similar to a lot of these other historic downtowns that you guys have seen, where when you come into the downtown, there's a big arch over the main Center Street area that designates this space as different and as special. And this is wanted for countless reasons that we've been working on, but one of them in the TMAC presentation is just as a calming measure. It's so difficult for these vehicles to suddenly drop to 15 miles an hour when there really aren't that many changes to the streetscape. So additionally, some of the things that were done from this list recently, we have new pedestrian crosswalk indicators. Each time there's a mid-crosswalk that got installed. There were two 15-mile-an-hour speed limit signs that had gone missing from different construction projects. Those have been put back in. There have additionally been installed warning signs to let you know that the traffic speed is going to drop as you approach this next area. I think those are all the ones that we've done recently. And the other ones, does that sound right, Rob? And then the other ones are ones that require a little bit more budgets. Those are ones that are going to City Council for evaluation. Other than all the work that we've done on that, I just wanted to, we do the monthly art stroll, which is just a way that we try to enhance the understanding of the walkability of our downtown. I'm also the chair of the farmers market. I've run that for many years now. And that's another thing that we do to try to encourage our community to understand the walkability of our community so that they can get used to some of the sidewalks and the spaces that they may not be familiar with otherwise. Last year, we provided 40 patio heaters for outdoor dining for the restaurants downtown. We install and maintain the light strings that zigzag over all the sidewalks throughout the downtown. And currently, one big project that we are working on that we're hoping to submit next week as an official change is to the zoning for new construction in the downtown. This will eliminate or at least extend the building height maximum. It will also eliminate or lower the minimum square footage requirement for new projects. And it will eliminate or diminish the amenity space requirement in the buildings that are built in the DT1 and DT2 zones. So we're grateful for the partnership with BikeWalk Provo and all these other programs that allow us to execute lots of these things. Thanks.
Not least, Provo City.
Yeah, I got it.
Your time to just right. You gotta head out. Well, there are several things that the city did in the form of active transportation this last year. We made sure that we went through all the projects that we already had on our list of road rehab, and we've got a fund specifically for concrete improvements and making sure that we were making that go as far as we could with pedestrian and bike improvements to the city. So I think, for example, I didn't write down the list. I probably should have, because we did quite a bit. So in addition to all the safe routes crossings that we either installed as new or upgraded as part of the Safe Walk or Safe Routes program, we also repaved 900 West from Center Street down to 600 South, and with that we added bike lanes to that section of 900 West. And then we added or improved a substantial amount of the sidewalk that was either completely missing or really impassable to anybody that is using a wheelchair or even doesn't watch the sidewalk very much, because it was pretty bad. So we replaced a lot of that. Did a lot of ADA ramps, improved the ADA ramps along there too. The Cougar Boulevard, Canyon Road intersection, in terms of how it comes into BYU, was improved as part of our repaving Canyon Road from University Avenue up to University Parkway. And with that repaving program, we also put bike lanes along that stretch. We repaved a section of 150 East going up into, or I guess we didn't. Well, we did repave it. We repaved our section and added Cheryl's on there. We worked with the engineering division there at BYU to add Cheryl's on theirs. And so between those two, it gets you into BYU at the entrance off of Campus Road, Cougar Boulevard. You can go down that little bit wider sidewalk into the parking area, and then down from there on down 150 East to 8th North, and then from 8th North, it's a pretty quick hop over to our 2nd East bicycle or neighborhood bikeway. So it was good. Those two projects were a good connection for that. Trying to think what else.
300 West.
300 West, yeah. 300 West, we repaved 300 West back behind the hospital, and with that, we put bike lanes on portions where we could put bike lanes. There was a section where it's Cheryl's. It's a pretty low volume, kind of easy ride street. So on a section of it, it has Cheryl's, and on a section where it was wide enough to be able to add bike lanes separate from the car travel lanes, we put bike lanes there. We also continued it up past Cougar Boulevard to where it continues on north to make a connection to the river trail. And then we did some concrete work and some signage around the rec center. There was a pretty sharp turn that we added some concrete to make that a smoother turn, and added some signage. And I don't know, I should have checked before I came out here. I don't know if our streets department has added it yet. We also, I guess with that, we did a ramp down onto 8th North. And if they haven't done it yet, then it may be too cold. May not be until spring if they haven't done it yet, just because of pavement doesn't, or the
crosswalk.
The crosswalk.
They've done it.
They've done it. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't gone out there to check to make sure they already put it. But there's a crosswalk now across 8th North at 300 West. So we did a lot of things. We just resubmitted our MAD funding, and out of 8 projects, 4 are specifically active transportation, and the 4 that are more roadway based do have active transportation associated with them. So we're trying to get more, funding in general for not just cars. So as we move forward, and we're going after our community development block grants, we just submitted 2 community development block grants that also have to do with active transportation.
So trying to increase what we're doing and get everybody the facilities that they need faster.
Cool.
Gavin? Do you want to say anything? Rob said it all.
And then for parks, John Bunderson couldn't make it tonight, but he's overseeing a lot of improvements to the river trail. And specifically, there was that bridge underneath the front runner tracks. It was really shallow, like you could almost see your head on it when you're going through, and then it was steep. So he flattened it out and then made it taller. Lots of other things with the river trail.
Yep.
So the city's been fantastic.
Sure.
Basically scooters, and it's that too.
Yeah.
I've seen more scooters in 2021 substantive than 2020. Like last calendar year, this calendar year, we were at 16,000 rides per month. So I think they're used.
Javin also helped us with the business community get some high turnover parking stalls throughout the downtown for the restaurants that we take out, things like that, instead of just stagnant stalls that stay parked all day. We did take out parking areas that have really been received well by the community of businesses.
Okay, and then the goal for this next year, 2022, is going for the gold. We're gonna try it again. Gold level bicycle friendly community status. There are a few things in there that were recommended. We're gonna look at those, fix them. So, you know, it takes a whole group of us to make this happen. Every one of you contributed. We want to thank you for your efforts, and let's keep working hard this next year. Thank you all.
Thanks.
So here's